Hey guys, what's happening? Midnight Strike here, and today we're going to be talking about a band that just recently polarized their fans one way or the other with the release of their newest album, Temper Temper. Now, you guys all know how I feel about that atrocity, but that's not what we're talking about here. So, requested by Bronze Dano, before there was Temper Temper, there was The Poison, which is Bullet for My Valentine's debut album. They actually had two EPs before this. One was self-titled, the other one was called Hand of Blood, and it actually had the first song they ever recorded on it, which was Hand of Blood. First song they ever recorded as Bullet for My Valentine, that is, because before that, they were Jeff Killed John. That was their name. They were, I believe, a cover band, and they recorded a few singles, a few hits, but other than that, they were virtually unknown, basically. So they were really, really popular in the underground scene, but not too much when it comes to basically like mainstream kind of success that they're having at this very moment. So, or at least at this very moment that this album was released, is what I meant. But yeah, getting into it, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of variety on this album, a lot of, really melodic, hardcore, aggressive moments. This is probably their most aggressive album, just altogether, especially on songs like Her Voice Resides. It's just an explosion of riffs. It's an explosion of just all-out, balls to the wall, screaming. Just, they're hitting you with everything they've got in that song. Probably one of my favorite Bullet tracks. So I'm not going to do it track by track with this one, as there is a lot to cover. I'm going to be doing more of a highlights, because on this version there are 17 songs. It's the deluxe version. I'll name off a few of them, but the highlights, probably intro. The first one begins with a thunderstorm and really hits it off with this really soft, more melodic, kind of clean guitar intro. Sounds really good, really well crafted, and then it hits you with everything they've got, as I said, in Her Voice Resides. This is one of my favorites. Four Words to Choke Upon, is on their Hand of Blood EP, and it was a bonus track on their first Bullet for My Valentine self-titled. So, got a really good structure to it, very good screams, and another thing that I forgot to mention before is, with the exception of Temper Temper, Matt does not scream on any other album aside from this one. The screaming abilities, the screaming techniques are handed down to the bassist, Jason James, I believe that's his name, but yeah, Jason James handles all the screaming on Fever and Scream and Fire, so, which are also two very phenomenal records. So, Fever often gets a lot of shit for being, like, their more mainstream kind of album, but, I don't see it that way. I actually see it as a continuation of the sound that they focused more on Scream and Fire, with the exception of, say, Bittersweet Memories. That song is shit. So, yeah. Another one is another highlight on this album is The Poison, which is the title track. Very good, very well crafted. Probably my favorite outro in all of history of music. I love how aggressive and fast and ferocious it is. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it, is ferocious. Especially with the screaming. The screaming is very, very good. Probably top notch on this album. And this is back before Matt Tuck had all the vocal problems and stuff like that. So, very good album. Very good song, especially to be on this album as the title track. So, another one is All These Things I Hate Revolve Around Me. This is actually quite a breath of fresh air, as opposed to everything that we've heard prior to this, because of the fact that it is very soft, very more melodic in instances, and sometimes it gets a little bit heavier, sometimes it has the screaming in it, and it starts off with an acoustic, actually, and Matt Tuck's vocals actually fit with this song. They actually fit with a few songs on here, like I said, Her Voice Resides, All These Things I Hate, and The Poison, the title track. But other than that, Matt comes off as sounding a little bit whiny on this album. I don't really like the vocals in particular on this debut album and, before, but he starts sounding a lot more mature on, say, Screaming Fire and Fever. So, that being said, some songs do sound very good, but the fact of the matter is, it doesn't really sound like something they would put on, say, this kind of music. It doesn't really fit the type of style that they were trying to go for here, mainly metalcore or heavier thrash metal. So it comes off sounding more like punk, or just kind of emo-ish kind of music. And with a band named Bullet for My Valentine, yeah, you're gonna tend to get those kind of accusations. So, yeah, let's see. 10 Years Today, really like the drumming in this song. Very well written, well crafted. And the drumming is something that actually does stick out a lot in this, as well as the verse structure. Cries in Vain, this one is a standout, not so much in a good way, because really, the vocals are really not that great on this song. It actually comes off as sounding the most whiny in this song, probably, and just the style that he used, it just took me a really long time to even get into this song. The structure is phenomenal, the guitar work is excellent, and there are a few solos thrown in there, the screaming is really good, and as far as the vocals go, as I said, the screaming, but the chorus is actually very good when it comes to the vocals. So, other than that, just the verses in the vocals and the verse structure is just not the greatest. So, yeah, moving on, the bonus tracks are 7 Days, My Fist, Your Mouth, Her Scars, and an acoustic version of Tears Don't Fall. Really like the acoustic version, very downbeat, very melodic, and the acoustic guitars sound great. The vocals are good, although they do carry some of that, more punk-esque kind of feel to them. But hey, for that song, it's not that bad. My Fist, Your Mouth, Her Scars, this one's alright. Not one of my favorites, but still pretty excellent song. 7 Days. Out of the bonus material that we've gotten, out of this, probably 7 Days is my favorite. It's very aggressive. I like the structure of it, and the chorus is very, very good, and as well as the vocals are very good on this song. Screaming is perfect. It actually begins with a very aggressive riff, and then here it goes again. That's what I believe Jason James screams. So, yeah, he's got some screaming on this album as well as Matt Tuck. So, Matt Tuck screaming, I believe, wasn't really that good or on future releases, or he just didn't scream at all. Something like that. I don't know exactly specifically what happened to his voice, but I know he shot out his voice and had to get surgery or something. So, yeah. Overall, this album is a very phenomenal start to Bullet for My Valentine's, upcoming career, and they're going to have a lot of mainstream success after this album, especially with Tears Don't Fall in particular, becoming one of their most well-known songs. Actually, I forgot to mention that. Tears Don't Fall, one of their best songs ever. Everyone knows that beginning riff with the clean guitars, and just the overall structure of it is really well crafted, really good, and the vocals in particular actually do fit this song quite well. Screaming is very good, and as well as just the tone. The overall production of this album as a whole is just very fine-tuned. So that's really all I have to say about it. Overall, I'll probably give this album solid 9.3 out of 10. Yeah, that's right. I do uneven numbers sometimes, but 9.3 out of 10. So I really like this album. I'd probably rate Scream and Fire a 9.5, to be honest, but this album's a 9.3. Like I said, while it does have a great guitar work, amazing unclean vocals, screaming, and some great drumming thrown in there, great screams by the bassist, great bass production, you can definitely hear it in there, and while it has all that, the vocals sometimes seem a little bit like they don't go with the kind of music they're trying to create here. So, other than that, it's a really good album. So, anyone who is into thrash metal or metalcore should definitely check it out. Thank you very much for watching. 9.3 out of 10. This is Midnight Strike 3625. Keep calm and rock on.